So now I want to bring in CBS News Miami's Jim DeFede. Jim, we know that this was not an easy decision for the president, and he's faced a lot of criticism in the last few days. Walk us through where we go from here.
You know, I think we do need to sort of take a moment and just understand the historic nature of this. This is one of the things about America that is truly remarkable, is the willingness of its leaders to surrender power. It is very hard when you are the president to make a decision like this. And what I think we saw over the last 3 weeks since that terrible debate that he had were the stages of grief. I think that's what Joe Biden has been going through. I think he went through denial at first. It wasn't as bad as everyone was saying. There was negotiation. Let me get out on the campaign trail. I'll turn things around. You know, and then there was anger. And then finally there was acceptance. And I think that's where he came in the last 48 hours and realized that there was no chance, no path for him to win, and he had to sort of step aside. Now, where we go from here, I think what's remarkable is that in just the few hours since Joe Biden made this announcement, you had a moribund, dour Democratic Party that had no life and energy in it and suddenly has rebounded. Just in the last few hours, one of the Democratic sites that raises money raised $50 million in a matter of hours from small dollar donations. That is a remarkable telling of where the grassroots are in terms of how they are moving forward. And I'll say this, and then I'll let you ask your next question. I apologize. But, you know, this thing is galvanizing very, very quickly around Kamala Harris, and I don't see anybody seriously challenging her. This is now her campaign, her party, and she'll move forward.
Yeah, that was kind of my next question, Jim, because we did hear from Senator Manchin today, and he did say that he may be considering changing his party affiliation to then maybe challenge her. But what is Kamala Harris going to have to do to actually win voters over? Because right now there is a new CBS News poll that has Trump over her 51 to 48%.
Yeah, that right now, throw all those polls out, because the campaign starts today in terms of Kamala Harris needing to introduce herself to the American people in a way that she hasn't had to do before. Look, the role of the vice president, when you're vice president, it's to basically follow the line and the path that the president has taken. Now she gets to sort of lay out her agenda, her beliefs, her thoughts, and she will start to do that. And I think one of the key things is why this switch from Democrats' perspective was necessary is Joe Biden, you know, had hit his ceiling. He was always going to have trouble. And yes, in a lot of ways, Kamala Harris has many of the same negatives, but her ceiling is much higher. And I think as she goes out and prosecutes the case, and that's the key word you're going to hear, prosecutor, because she was a former district attorney, a former attorney general, and when she was in the Senate and she served on the Senate Judiciary Committee, her questioning of Supreme Court nominees that were put forward by Donald Trump was remarkable. And if it's that Kamala Harris that is going to prosecute the case against Donald Trump, that's why the Trump campaign is scrambling today.
And I do think a lot of people are with you in that sentiment there. Thank you so much, Jim, for your expert analysis on this.